Well, welcome to Sybil After Six. I am so excited to have our very first woman in business, Christian woman in business. If you are new to my channel, we talk about what it's like to be a kingdom builder. So, what it looks like to run our business as women of faith, either in the spiritual realm or with secular clients. And tonight, I am so excited to have LaShawn Kinley. She is the CEO and founder of Edify the Soul. So, good evening, LaShawn. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Yes, I could already feel this is going to be such a blessed podcast. I love it so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So, LaShawn and I were just talking about how busy the devil is. He didn't want me to have this tonight, but that's okay. But I do want to jump in because our journeys are so similar. And a lot of times I get this question, Sybil, why did you change your business name? But apparently God is doing a lot of that. So God told me to change my business name. I was like, you got it, God. You're not blessing that, you're blessing this. But you said you had a similar conversation with God. What was that? Like, how did it happen? And what did that mean for you? Because you have been in business for a while.
Yes. So for the past 7 going on almost 8 years, I was a slow fashion business owner. So I was a slow fashion designer slash business owner, and I was doing very unique, like bohemian Afro chic style clothing apparel, like designing it, literally creating the prototypes, going to different countries just to get the fabric so it can feel genuine to my consumer, right? And I wasn't slow fashion is basically, for those who don't know, when you care about the ethics of how something is being made. So you care about all the resources, where the fabric's coming from, how you're paying your workers, the labor, all of that. You have care in your work. Fast fashion is more just capitalist driven, meaning supply and demand. They want this, they get it no matter what it takes, right? And a lot
Yep.
of unethical behavior can go behind that. So slow fashion is really to counteract that, right? So my whole journey up into this point for the past 7 years was literally that. God was just like, well, before he even said anything, I literally one time, and it was the summer of 2022, and I was just like, you know what? I just feel like I need to reassess, do some
Yep.
self-assessment, and just double check, like check in with God and make sure that this life that I'm living is still in alignment with what he wants me to do. And I think it's so imperative for us to have those check-in points, right? Because for most of us, we're just living this life, creating our own things and on this journey and just trying to figure it out, right?
Yep.
And once we feel like we hit our stride, we kind of just stay within that groove, right? Because we're in such a comfort. But I had this moment in summer of 2022 where I was just like, I want to make sure because like things with the economies is shifting, and
Yeah.
I just felt spiritually a shift that was coming, and I wanted to be prepared for it. And this isn't the first time where I felt like shifts coming, and I tapped into God in regards to like what that shift may be, like for what it looks like for me, what it looks like for the world, America, all of that. But this specific shift felt personal, like it felt like it was directly for me. So that's why I did a check-in prayer with him, like, hey God, I need to hear your voice clearly. I need to make sure it's your voice and not my voice, because my voice feels very loud right now as a business owner. You're in control, right, of your business, of other people who report to you, of your consumers who want to shop from you. Like everybody's doing this and saying how great you are, but sometimes you need to step away from that and just double check to make sure that everything is in alignment. And me saying that prayer had him respond in a way that I just never heard him respond in, maybe because I never asked the question in that type of way before, right? So because
Yep.
I asked him specifically, God, I need to hear your voice clearly over every other voice. He was like, read the Bible, read the Bible, read the Bible. And I'm talking about I had dreams of reading the Bible or people giving me Bibles. I had scriptures on people's gas caps when I would park and they would pull up and I would just so happen to see it in my vision. Like never
Oh my.
before were these things happening to me. And that's how God speaks to me outside of now the Bible that I have read. But before I read the Bible, he couldn't speak to me that way because I wasn't reading it like that, right? So the ways
Exactly.
he was speaking to me was through other people. I always been a very heavy dreamer since a child, so he would speak to me through dreams, vision, signs, all those things. Like that's how I'm used to it. So when he started to do this, I was like, okay, I know you're speaking directly to me. So it was in January of 2023 where I was like, all right, I'm going to take the whole year to read his word and see what it is he wants to tell me, because this isn't going away. I'm steadily praying and he's steadily telling me like, I'm giving you the answers. Read the Bible. Yeah, you're wanting other answers, and that's not going to happen. This is the answer.
He said, read the Bible. So I recently did because I journal every morning. I really do. We're going to come back to your Bible reading journey, but literally from a child, I was always taught do not read Revelation until you're ready or before God tells you to read it. So I grew up with that kind of mindset. And
Yeah.
literally a couple of days ago, God was like, how about Revelation? And I was like, no, God, remember, right? We're not supposed to read Revelation before we're ready. And so here I am, semi-obedient, because I'm still reading my Bible every morning. And don't you know that the reference scripture, I don't know, I was in someplace else, like let's just call it Job or something. And it was like CRE too. And I was just like, RE? Oh, Revelation.
Mhm. Uh-uh.
So goes down to Revelation. I was like, all right, God, you know what? It's time. But I think there's so many Christians who literally have not read the Bible cover to cover. So what was that like for you? And then how did that make you pivot your business?
Okay, so that was shocking to me in a way, because when you're living in such a way where you think like you're in alignment, right? You're speaking to God, you pray to him, like it's all these ways that you were taught of how the Christian life is supposed to go, right? So you're thinking that everything is good, and when you are start to read the Bible and things start changing in you in regards to like, oh, wow, now I'm starting to see society's way versus God's way. And a lot of things, like there's certain truths that we know are true, like don't have sex before marriage and certain things like that. There's certain things, sexual immorality, be a good person, like all of these things, like we kind of know those truths, but there's certain things that are very much so still truths that we have to abide by in order to stay within his covering and the obedience to him, right? And those are the things that we do not get if we do not read, right? So in reading, I'm discovering all of the things, not just 10%, but like 100% of everything he wants me to kind of go through and just know. And he's refining me and edifying me through that process. And I get to this part where he's like, okay, so I want you to stop drinking. And I'm not even a drinker. I'm literally a, like, what is it called? A social
Your
drinker.
social drinker?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a social drinker at best. I like my cocktails. I like the ambiance, hanging with my girl
Yeah.
or my husband. But it's kind of just like that's how I was drinking before. And in 2023, he was like, "Stop drinking, hard stop. Like I don't
Yeah.
want you drinking at all." So he did that, and then he just took me down like this refinement and pruning where he was like, "You're selling zodiac signs in your business. Stop selling that. Stop going to these places. It no longer serves you. It actually never served you, but I'm just telling you right now, it doesn't serve you." And he's just taking away things from me that he never wanted me.
Never blessed it. Yeah.
Yeah, his anointing wasn't on that. He's like, you're an anointed person in a space that I never called you to in this type of way. So he's like, I blessed you with this business, but you're incorporating and having mixture in the business that does not reflect me, right? So he's taken away all of the things that does not reflect him. The mixture of zodiac signs, which is the origins of that, has nothing to do with following Christ. It has nothing to do with Christianity. Promoting crystals and stuff like that, to which for me, I didn't know that people were praying to crystals. I'm just like, oh, these are beautiful gems. These are beautiful stones. I love the meaning of the rose quartz being love and all. Like, I just thought it was sweet and cute. I didn't realize, like, no, there's people praying to these crystals and then they're selling them. So what energies are you bringing into
What
your
energy are you?
home?
Oh my
You know
God.
what I mean? What are you
Yeah.
sleeping? What are you putting under your pillow? Like we talk about wish and we talk about these things, and it's like, no, we don't wish on anything. We have hope as children of God. Like there's certain language that society uses, and we don't even understand the underbelly of
Yeah.
where it comes from, right? But we just regurgitate it because it's been said so much. So we think of it as light when the origins of it is actually demonic, right? So he's telling me all these things that I just did not know of, didn't know the double meaning of. He's just like, remove it, remove it. I understand you didn't know, but now you do know.
Now you do know, do
Right?
better.
Now I'm gonna hold you to the truth that you do know. Because before I gave you grace and I gave you a pass because I understood the world you lived in, the world you're living in, and how
Right.
you're perceiving things. But now that you know my word, now I'm gonna hold you accountable, right? So he's telling me you have free will to do what you want. You either be obedient or you don't. And I'm just like, listen, I know who God is, okay? I'm gonna be obedient. So I'm removing all the things he's telling me to remove. And he even showed me through the Bible, there's a part in there that literally says sun god and it talks about Ra. Like it talks about it. And when I saw that in the Bible, my heart dropped because the name of my business was Sun Gods. And I literally named it Sun Gods because I love the sun. I have a Caribbean background. So I love the sun and I love water and ocean and all that. So that's where that came from. And then I love God. So I put the two together, sun God, not realizing the origin of that word is literally a whole nother deity that has nothing to do with following Christ, nothing to do with Christianity, and is still celebrated and worshiped to this day. Like Ra, Isis, goddesses,
Yeah.
gods. That all has origins that people worship to this day in different countries and in America. So we
Yeah.
have to understand what we're doing and what we're saying, right? So that's
So
where the
great.
pivot came from.
So can we just, I'm gonna pause it just for a second because God told me the same thing. He was like, your name is Sybil.
Yeah.
I'm not blessing the sage because again, he was like, say that ain't you. He was like, I could feel God telling you you're minimizing who I called you to be. You're trying to change your name. That's not your job.
Mm.
So God was not blessing anything the sage steward. He was just like, nope, not happening. That's not you. And then really embracing my name, which does mean prophet. And I was like, oh gosh, really, God, again? Okay, we coming back for
This
okay.
is one thing I've noticed. So in our in America, I'll just say in America because this is where we live, right? So in our society, I feel like majority of the prophets, because I feel like that's why I have dreams. That's why I have prophetic dreams, right? Majority of us, if you're not taught like from within your youth what that means, so no one could tell me, no one gave me context because they didn't know their Bible. So no one can give me context. Even some of the people who are in church, they couldn't give me context when it came to why am I having these dreams and then they come to life? Why
Yeah,
am I saying things to certain people and then it happens? Like no one can tell me that. But America could tell me, like society could tell me. Society told me that I was psychic. Society told me that I had energy and I was just like they're giving me all these terms and I'm like, "Oh, that's what it is." Okay. So then you start to accept the context and verbiage of what America and society tells you, not even realize, like, no, you have prophecy, you have prophetic dreams. You may or may not be a prophet, but this
right.
is the things that you have. These are some of your spiritual gifts, right? If you look in Corinthians, it'll talk to you about your spiritual gifts. So, like, that's what happens when you don't read the Bible. And I understand why we don't because of, colonization and slavery and the things that happened to our ancestors. And it was a marketing tool from our oppressors for us not to read because why would they want us to be spiritually powerful? Why would they want us to be connected to God? That was the whole reason to separate us from our religion was to be powerless, right?
Yeah,
It was a reason for them to not want us to read, right? If you can't read,
yeah,
then you can't read the Bible, then you can't gain power.
correct.
So it was kind of all of that. So what you saying that in regards to you having like prophecy and all these things, that's what if they don't teach us, if we don't share this information with each other, we're going to go down that rabbit hole of new age. It's going to be more accepting to us because we're going to relate to it because the church not all the time. Some churches, yes, but not all the churches are teaching you what the supernatural is and what it really means to be a child of God. This is normal. We all
Yes.
should be having and working within our spiritual gifts. And if you don't know it, you feel it's weird and it's unknown and all of those things.
Or you're afraid of it. Like
Yeah.
I was afraid of mine. And when God told me to stop drinking, I was like, well, then how do I manage these dreams? Because that's how I was managing. I'm like, you know what? We got to just take the edge off of this thing that I,
Really?
that's literally what, ooh, I just saw an avalanche and understanding the, um, the power behind it, and the if God didn't want you to see it, he would not have revealed it to you. And
Yeah.
so I had to like reconcile all of that stuffing of the gifts that I was doing
Yeah.
to even be whole enough to serve people the way that I serve today. So I totally get it.
Yeah.
So God, says close your business. How fast did you close it?
Okay, so this was let's see. At this point, he's telling me around, let's say November, December, like, sorry, a little gnat in here. He was like, I can't stand him. But it was like November, December timeframe where he's like, hinting that I need to, like, basically I'm feeling like I think something's coming to an end. And
Yeah.
definitely in January he was like, I'm going to need you to close the business, like now I'm going to need you to close it. So it was in summer of 2024 where he was like, change the name. And right, and that's where the whole going through the Bible, he revealed to me what sun gods is, and I was like, oh my God, now I'm like, I have no, I this was my baby, I had it for
Yeah.
7 years, right? So this is like a part of my true identity, that how people know me as slow fashion designer at Bohemian Afro Chic, Sun Gods, LaShawn. Like it was like cohesive, right?
Yeah.
And when he showed me that in the Bible, like it just, I completely wanted to detach from it. Like I did not care anymore. I'm like, if it is against him, it's against me, right? Like that's just how I rock. So once he told me that, it was kind of like there wasn't no, oh, but can I keep it? Like it's like, nah, like no, I cannot be affiliated with that. I did not know. I want to sit this down myself, right? So when he gave me that like inkling, let's just say in January of 2024, I was like, yeah, no problem. Like, okay, let me go through the process of, shutting down the LLC. Let me go to the process of, what was it? Oh, also communicating with my customers, because we were a made to order custom business, right? So we did like specialty collections. So it wasn't anything to where it was like people constantly coming to our store. It was an atelier space. So it was appointments. So it made it easier in that way.
Mhm.
So I would literally like contact all of the customers who were coming to us so that they would know like, hey, end of March, like it's going to be completely shut down. So anything that you want to get done, any tailoring, all of those things, like I did the proper protocols of like shutting it down. I didn't just close it. It was like, all right, peace, you guys. But I just did the proper things. And the great thing about social media is people saw my journey before I closed it. So I was already posting like, hey guys, this is how I'm feeling. And people already kind of knew me to be a spiritual person anyway. So it wasn't anyone who was like a consistent shopper or a friend or family member. It was nothing new to them. They were just like, oh, okay, this is,
Justified.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is a progression for her. This is next steps for her. But people who might have been a little new, they were like, they were seeing the journey in regards to like, oh wow, God spoke to her. I saw her get rebaptized. Like she's doing all these different things. So like they were on the journey with me, and it wasn't like from A to Z. It was like they saw me going through those steps. So
Yeah.
I was going through closing it and communicating to everyone like why I was switching the name, why I'm going through rebranding. Then they completely understood because they went down that journey with me. So it was kind of easier for me because I was very transparent through the whole steps.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And so today you are a confidence coach, and the name of your business is Edify the Soul. That is so amazing. How is God blessing this phase of life and business for you?
Yes. So once he sat it all down, right? Once he told me to rebrand and sit it down, and I was like, okay, cool, got it. I already know because I read the Bible. I already know once God tells you to give up something, like you're Isaac, right? Once he tells you to give up something, he's going to restore you. He's going to replenish it. He's going to bring in better. He's God. So whatever he has for you is way better than what you were doing within your own strength, right?
Yeah.
So once I sat it down, the thing that people don't tell you is the wait. Sometimes it's not an immediate, like, sit it down and now you start this. Sometimes for me, it was a sit it down and I was waiting for like 5 or so months for him to tell me what was the next step. So my waiting season was literally me rereading Nehemiah, of rebuilding and building things at the same time, me rereading Esther seasons, me rereading certain things and fasting to hear from him clearly, because this is also when the devil can really come at you in regards to confusion, being uncertain, making you want to go back, all of these things. And I was like, there's no turning back for me. Like I know there's nothing back there.
Nothing back there.
There's nothing there. So I was like, so what is moving forward? And as a business owner and my personality type, I'm an overachiever. I'm just naturally that type of person. I want to always progress. I want to always do more. Like I always want those things. And I think in the waiting season, he kind of just also refined me and edified me in a way to say, like, you can be, I want you to be a goal-oriented individual, but let's turn your goals into God goals. Like that
Yeah.
was a good goal, that was a great goal, but let's do God goals now. You know what I mean? So this is where Edify the Soul came from. It birthed out of my waiting season when he was like, all the things that I showed you and I told you about before, all the ways that I helped you, the different videos you were looking at in regards to sermons and different churches, put all of those things into one location to help somebody else. Because just how you had to take this time, like it took you a year and a half to get all this stuff together, help somebody else so that it takes them less time to get to see, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I created Edify the Soul website. I created that. All of this happened, by the way, in like an hour. This is how I know it was God, because this was never on my radar to do. I would have still been a slow fashion designer. So like it was never on my radar to like create this website and put all these resources on there. So I created edifythesoul.com. It has like healing scriptures on there for like all the different emotions we feel, and you can speak God's word. Like I put 5 to 7 scriptures for each emotion we feel as humans so that you can speak his truth and his power
Yeah.
over your emotions, because sometimes it's the Bible is intimidating for a lot of people. So they wait on it, they hold on it, they hesitate. And sometimes just reading quick scriptures actually gets you in the Bible quicker, right? So
Yeah.
that's why I created a section for healing scriptures. And then it just has all these different things for like community and stuff like that. And then that's when he led me into coaching, because he was like, start looking into all these other websites. And from a specific pastor that I was looking at, Dr. Darius Daniels, he
Yep.
also said that he was a coach. And I was just like, coach, wait. God was just talking to me about coaching. Let me look into what he does. And then I saw a couple of his programs and I was like, I just felt a tug. Like, this is where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be getting into this. And it kind of tied my whole life together. Like, I was going through like the different programs under him. So I did like a lot of tutelage under him, under his Daniel's Den programs. And I saw like the frameworks of how like coaching works. And when you're coaching on women and just like the psychology behind it and how to really work within it. I feel like sometimes people just slap a title on themselves and they don't even know the industry of that they're getting into. They don't even have the correct expertise. And the great thing about my background is that I was an executive recruiter on Capitol Hill before I was a slow fashion designer. So I feel like my whole life I was doing coaching in different ways, right? I was coaching people about resources that they can gain and how to like present themselves in front of for jobs, right? To get that type of resource. And then in slow fashion design, I'm coaching people on the exterior side of how to show up to the world and represent themselves the way they want to represent themselves confidently. And then now it's me working as a women's confidence and leadership coach with really helping people internally, like knowing your self-value, knowing your worth, knowing how to show up with style, having confidence in all these areas, having confidence in the way that you speak and when you're doing public speaking and how to communicate and captivate an audience and tell your story and all of these things. You have to have confidence and leadership within that. You got to lead yourself and have confidence in yourself before you can lead someone else, a team, staff, all these people. How to sell your products and services with confidence, negotiate contracts with confidence. So that's what I do now. He just tied up my whole life with a bow,
It's
basically.
done. This is a full circle moment.
Full
Oh my
circle.
gosh. It's full circle. I was just telling a client that I said this whole business came to me in once again in a dream. And when time stands still with God, it just feels a little different. Like I thought I had been sleeping for about 3 or 4 hours. I promise it was a nap. It was a cat nap. And with that, the entire business was born. But I think that's just so important that when God is putting us in that waiting season, because he put me in one too. Mine was called Duke University Hospital, whatever. But whatever. But in that waiting of steadying our spirits so that when we are done waiting, we can fine tune our hearing
Yep.
in such a way that we were not listening to him before. So I
100.
think that is so good.
Yeah.
One final question that I love to ask everyone And this has to do around money because I know a lot of us as Christian business women, we think, oh, I'm not supposed to, oh, ooh, right? The church has just really money harmed some of us.
Yes.
So, what did you have to, or did you have to unlearn about building wealth so that you could be a good steward of your business, but also of God's kingdom? Because that's what we're here to build.
Yes. Well, even just learning about what stewardship really is, like starting there, like you do not own anything. This is a co-creation, like your whole life, everything, right? You are co-creating with God. Like he wants to be in every single part. He's not saying, I'll be in your spiritual life, but I won't be in your business.
Yes.
Why would he even say that? You want him to bless your business, right? You want him to bless you with abundance and money. So, yes, he is in your business, right? So, he's definitely a part of business and definitely cares about our money and how we're stewarding our finances when it comes to that, right? So, he really taught me like, that's not your money. That's my money that you're managing. And I am hoping that with your free will, you will use it to build my kingdom and not build your own empire within your own ways, your own will, and for your own needs, right? Yes, I do want you to use the money to be fulfilled and bless yourself and your family and your husband and friends and all of those things. But if you say I'm first, then you do have to live the words that you're saying. You do have to put me first. And money was definitely something last year into the beginning of this year that he was training me on. It felt like training me in regards to like how to spend your money, how to steward it, tithing properly, like just really being consistent. It was the consistency with that, right? Because we want so much, like we're such toddlers, like we're grown adults, but we're such toddlers when it comes to God. He is truly our father because we're like, oh, bless me, bless me, bless me, but then we don't tithe, we don't do the spiritual kind of laws that
Yeah.
correlates with him, right? He's saying, Even if you just give me your first fruits, I'm gonna bless the rest." And when you look at it, if you have 5 fruits and you give him one, you still have 4. He's going to bless the 4, but you have 5 and you want to keep all 5. Now, what is that saying? Like, that is not saying that he is first in your finances, first in your life when it comes to your money. Now, maybe you're putting him first in other things, but he really wanted me specifically to reassess how I view money,
Oh,
any
yeah.
type of lack like that sometimes the church teaches you.
Yeah.
My church doesn't teach me that. I go to First Baptist Church of Glenarden, and he always speaks about money very, very thoroughly because he keeps telling people you can't ask for blessings and you're not doing your part when it comes to money, right?
Yeah.
So he definitely shaped me in steward and understanding what it means to steward money. And when I started complying in that way, I saw even more of like how he made it more fruitful. So he was like, I mean, the humble part came with this. Let's also talk about that people don't necessarily want to talk about. Sitting down a business. I mean, yes, I have a husband, so he was paying for like a lot of things. God bless his soul. But like when I had to sit down a business, that went from 2 incomes to one. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? And that takes obedience. That takes obedience to not say like, "Oh, I'm going to go ahead and get another job," when he's
Mhm.
like, "No, I'm not calling you to have a job. You work for me now." Like
You work
if
for
I
me.
can tell you how much I heard you work for me now, it's crazy. Because I'm like, well, how? How do I work? How do I work for you?
Yeah.
But when I tell you, I heard so much very clearly, you work for me now. And if we
Yes.
say that we're servants of God, that's kind of what that is. Like, we're just like, what do you need from me as your humble servant? Not only as your daughter, but as your humble servant. What do you need from me? Who do you need me to speak to? Where do you need me to go? Who can I pour into? Like through my work, through everything. And that goes back with finances. Like finances and your money that you're getting from your business is literally just a resource and tool to help build his kingdom, right? So if you're giving that 10% to the homeless, that's still building his kingdom, to the church, that's building his kingdom, to different programs that really helps to sustain life and help community. It's not about self. When you bless others, that will internally bless you. That will then bless you tenfold. But when you're constantly just thinking about yourself, dinner, 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 trips, 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 this was my life. Like this was my life. I didn't realize that, not that it was selfish because it wasn't just me. I was just thinking about me and mine. And he's
Me.
like, But you and it goes beyond you and yours. It goes beyond the legacy that you want to create for your family, right? It goes to community. Like I always had a community base with the business with like helping to employ them and do all of those things. And he's like, yes, that's great. He's like, however, I want to also make sure your money is doing that as well when it comes to the profits and the income you're getting. Make sure that you're pouring that not only back into your community, but in God's community, right? Sometimes we put that black over everything, and it's like that is not on top of God's kingdom, though. You're
That's
you're God's child before you are a black child. Okay. We got to understand that too, because sometimes we'll be like, oh,
right.
I'll help this black family or I'll help this black whatever, black community, support black. I'll do that before I tithe. I'll do that before I get back to God's kingdom. And we gotta
We
rearrange
gotta shift
things
it.
in order.
Yeah.
We gotta Matthew 6:33 this thing. We gotta put it in order. It's God's order. Seek thy kingdom first and his righteousness, and then all things will be added unto you. We want the all things added unto you first.
Without seeing it first.
Right. We're like, we'll see you in a second. Give us all the things added to us. Give us the blessings in abundance. And he's like, did you seek me? How do you seek me? Read my word, pray to me, fast, come into my kingdom, my church, hear a word from me, get in some worship and praise. Like
Yeah.
this is what we have to do. And we're out of order. He's just trying to get us back into order. And that's what he did with me. My whole journey is just like, you were going in the right way. You got this business and I blessed you with, but then you started to put some new age into it. So now I got to clean you up. I got to get it back together. I'll
Make you renewed. That's right.
get you
He's renewing you.
renewed, right?
That's so good though, is
Yeah.
we never stop growing in our Christian journey, in our spiritual journey, especially because there is so much noise and distraction of the world. And that's why I think, it is so important to really wrestle. Like, don't just read the word, like, really take it in, wrestle with it,
Yeah.
feel it, embody it, and know that you in this life you will have troubles because you are continuing to seek him.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, look, LaShawn, I will not be upset if you come back again. That's all I gotta say, because I know we are out of time, and I always love to honor, not only the audience but also the ladies who are visiting me as well. But yes, I already know I'm going to invite you back because we got to talk about what all this is gonna mean as we continue to. I don't like the word empire. I was like, empires rise and fall. God put us in seasons. It's
Yes.
how we can learn about how God will bless our business in each season. I would
Yeah.
love to bring you back to talk about that.
Yes, absolutely. I'm here for it.
It was so great. Thank you again so much for joining me, and I hope you have a fabulous evening. Thank y'all for joining me for Sybil After 6, new episodes every other Tuesday. Bye for now.